place for it to reside. But now if you do that, now we're getting into privacy concerns. Do you really want the government to have all of your information?
Well, if they just have the identity, does that give them access to all of your information?
Well, if you have the identity documents, then yeah. Remember we just talked about the fact that you can be breeding. This breeding process.
But presumably, the government is not breeding.
No, the government is not breeding, but the conversion. If someone in the government has access to all your information, they may be able to use it to convert assets. Or there are other issues. For instance, it is possible that have you ever seen that ad where you're in a bank and the teller has the guy's head? He says, I hate it when these things won't scan. Trying to read the barcode on the guy's head. The technology, you've got to watch TV, Rob. The technology actually exists. Right now, you can get an RFID chip that's about the size of a rice grain. Okay? Put that under your skin someplace, and the government can track everyone in the USA by satellite. The technology is there. So we could get rid of all of these TSA lines and all of that sort of stuff by tracking people individually.
They have it in animals now with pets. They put a microchip.
That's right. They're doing it with pets. Why aren't they doing it with people? Wouldn't that get rid of all the security problems we have? We've been able to track everybody. We know who you are. Yeah.
But what people counter and say that's probably taking it too far, then the government will have full control over you. What's next after that?
What else can there be after that? They know who you are. They have all the information about you. They know where you are. No more of this Ken saying to his wife, well, I'm really when I'm working late at the office. She can check with the government and say, well, he's not at the office. Or, not where you think his office is. Yeah.
I also think about the chip you're talking about, I read an article like a couple of years back, and I think there was a religious group that was like against that technology because they said that's the mark of the beast, like if you accept it.
Sure.
That's it. What was it again?
It's the mark of the beast.
The mark of the beast.
The mark of the beast.
Right.
It's a sign that Armageddon is near.
Exactly.
Right. You asked a really controversial, or you asked a question with a really controversial answer. Is there a trade-off between security and privacy? Sure. Is it a good trade-off? Well, I guess it depends. How much privacy are you willing to give up?
But you're casting it, you made it sound like it's an individual decision. But it's a national decision.
Yes, it is. And
once it's done, everybody has given up all their privacy.
that's correct. And that's actually why all of the people who are so concerned with individual rights are saying, no, this is insane. We can't do this. But, and I'm not saying I agree with this, but if you think about it from a purely technical perspective, the technology is there, it's easy to do. It would get rid of the security problems we're having with tracking people because we know where they are. When you walk up, you get scanned automatically, so no more of these lines waiting to have your stuff searched. We know who you are. We know your history. Anywhere you want. It could be in your elbow. It could be somewhere that's really just not even noticeable.
Can you take it out?
Well, if you want it to work the way I'm talking about, no.
But what he's suggesting is that's a new opportunity for identity theft. You just change your
You change the chip. You
Something
change
else.
it. Yeah, sure.
Somebody draws you, opens you up, gets the chip,
Yep.
puts it somewhere else.
Yep. Yep. So you see, what started out as a simple question, there really isn't a simple answer for this. Okay. And that's one of the things that you will see, by the way, when I talk about thinking sensibly about security, that you have to think about the trade-offs. There are trade-offs. Okay, just as a matter of interest, the largest case of identity fraud up to now that has actually been prosecuted in the USA is about $3 million worth of damage and losses. This was estimated 5 years ago, okay, roughly. The amount has actually gone up. I need to change that number. The amount has actually gone up now to about $37 million that has been successfully prosecuted. About 30,000 victims across the USA and Canada. And the way it was done, savings accounts were looted. There were charges on fake credit cards. what they would do is change somebody's bank account address, have information sent to the new address, and then use the credit cards or some other kind of plastic.
Kenneth,
Yes.
is it fair to paraphrase, when you say identity fraud,
Mhm.
you sort of give the impression that they're taking over your entire life. But actually, all they need to do is impersonate you successfully to one institution in order to get, like a bank, to
Yes,
get your answer.
to get that. And then they can
It's really
success-
exploiting your institutional relationships. You're
It-
impersonating you with respect to certain institutions to get your answer.
Yeah, it's usually more than just a bank, though. It's the people who become really severe victims. It's usually a bank. It's usually a mortgage loan.
Oh, so they go to multiple institutions.
It's multiple institutions. Yes, yes, and that's where the heartache really comes from. It can be stealing your medical identity. They get medical services in your name, and then of course the insurance companies don't get paid, and so now the insurance companies are after you as well. So it's more than just one institution. It's a series of institutions. Yeah. Yes.
Sorry, in the case you pointed earlier, the busboy that got Oprah Winfrey,
Mm-hmm.
wasn't this the case that he was actually able to steal like large amounts of money from all these people, and he was finally caught, but he had already withdrawn
Yeah. He had already
like $1 million or something like that?
not $1 million. It was actually more like about $150,000. This guy was not
Big scale.
big, you know, he wasn't thinking big, clearly. He was thinking big in terms of his victims, but he wasn't thinking big in terms of the money. You know. And I mean, I'm skipping by some of the details of this, because typically the way the scam works is that you steal the information, you get the identity document, and you try it out to see what happens. So you try out Oprah Winfrey's card, for instance, and you say, okay, $100 transaction went through and nobody made any noise. So you try maybe $1,000. But maybe when you try $3,000, a flag goes up, and
You gotta stay under the radar.
You have to stay under the radar. So you never make large transactions. For instance, I am pretty anal about, I check my bank account and my American Express account online every single day, just to be careful. You know, so.
How many of you check your accounts every day?
A lot of people. That's good. That's good. Any of you ever noticed that you get a credit card bill at a time that's different from what you're used to? Has that ever happened to you? You may have been a victim. Maybe.
No, I was a victim once.
You were? Okay.
Yeah. Somebody got my phone, my credit card,
Yep.
and I had charges, like I was in Indonesia or something for $500 in a different country, like a little bit more country.
Yep.
And I guess, like you said, they could have taken more, but I guess they did little to sort of hoping that you don't pass it.
Right.
So,
And then eventually the bill comes in, and if you're a person who has a credit card bill with lots and lots of little transactions, unfortunately there are still people, they kind of just pay. Again, you have to remember, I'm an accountant and an auditor, and a computer science major, so I'm both a bit head and a bean counter. It's a rough combination.